that he plays on Icebox. He'll be going over towards the Sova now, so much more of a supportive role inside of this map. And Sick as well, adding a Phoenix into the play. We'll see how this all works out as the action's getting started now. Sen's on the attack, Gen.G's on the defense. Let's see who comes out on top and moves forward further into the upper bracket.
Okay, well, Gen.G starting us out early on here with a guiding light from Sky and C long to see if anyone's pushing early. So already have insight on that. It's going to be a B stack here as well for Gen.G. He'll get stunned out as Kusta's actually up and onto the boxes. He'll be able to take out Sick on the entry. A good read as well with the recon dart. So they'll have to shift and go somewhere else instead. It's going to be a flood in through Garage. The Cloud Burst to be able to assist as well. But as we know, Sean has already worked his way up long using that guiding light earlier on. They're going to have to try and clear this out. He steps out at a perfect moment. He'll claim one. Can he get the second? He'll at least assist. Kusta trying to get it done from the back of sight. It's a beautiful pinch right now onto Dapper as finally he'll be secured from Kusta as well. It's a quad for him on the round and starting off with some amazing economy for the Jet.
Yeah, to switch over to Jet specifically seems to already be working out pretty well for Kusta here. 422 ACS in the first round. Not too bad, I'll say so myself, but we'll see how the rest of these rounds go. The big story once again, though, is going to be Gen.G regaining control over the pistol, which at least on the last map, they were struggling with that quite a bit. Their Sentinels having to fight from the back, or excuse me, Gen.G having to fight from the back foot right from the very start, including in the second half where they really got put down on the scoreline and unfortunately started to seal the deal for the end of that map. But this time, not going to be an issue. They win that opening pistol. Will they win the follow-up, though? As we do have some aggressive buys coming in from Sen. It's not going to completely buy them out. You can still see 3 of them working with classics as well, but they did buy in for a couple of weapons here to add a little bit of extra firepower to the attack.
Well, Dapper a little sad about that camera. I'm sad about it too, Dapper. It didn't go the way that you wanted it to and ends up getting stuck to a wall. So he'll have to wait a couple of seconds for that cooldown to come back if he does want to use it again. And that's going to lead them to a little bit of a dry peek here on the outside. But I don't necessarily think that camera was going that way anyways. Either way, though, it's going to be Sick as the opening frag yet again inside of the Sentinels camp. Gen.G on the retake now effectively, although the plant has not been put down as of late. But Zoms is going to start that up immediately as we start talking about it. Down into the default position here, and they'll start setting things up, at least Astra utility-wise, to try and have some play inside of the post plant.
Well underway here, though. Sentinels controlling the situation for now, which is going to be dangerous for Gen.G. We nearly saw this round unfold, or we did see this round unfold in a previous map. Not going to happen this time, though. The retake is far too strong from Gen.G. It's a flurry of kills that results in one more member of the Gen.G roster going down, but ultimately, they still take it with 3 alive here. We're going to get a second round up on the board.
Oh man, they are funneling so many resources right now into Kusta. Lots of frags coming his way, as well as ult points by proxy of the frags as well as the spike. So Kusta well on his way, having a Blade Storm already, and that could be something that catches the Sentinels off guard down the line. But now we've reached that infamous third round, folks, where everybody's got guns and they're trying to win their first round, and that is going to be going the way of Sentinels, as they'll be starting us out here with what seems to be a stack towards A.
That's actually going to be a bit of a bonus round here for Gen.G also. They're choosing not to buy in entirely, instead keeping the guns or keeping the same caliber of guns from the previous round here just because the money for those dead players. It's going to be a little rough, and that's also going to be a bit rough there. Dapper, a clean opener, 2 kills going all his direction there, and Sick makes it 3 with another one just outside of short. That's GMD going down. Nature and Sean, the only 2 players left alive here for Gen.G. It seems that bonus round not really going to be going their way with the way things have lined up currently. They are set up on the A site to counter out this aggression. It was looking for a moment like Sentinels were going to rotate out and just go towards B, but no, it's a 2v5. They're going to dive in on this one when they know they're at subpar weaponry too. They'll handle it quickly, and then finally, Sen will get on the board on round 3.
Well, it's a very good thing that they did not buy some hefty weaponry there. Instead, like you said, sticking to the Sheriff and some Spectres. And that's going to be able to at least get them into this next round and keep them inside the money. That's the biggest thing. Some beautiful shots there from Dapper, and just overall a very convincing round there from the Sentinels. 10's also having some fun, even as a spike, but doesn't really matter at the end of the day. It's an updraft as well as a tailwind in order to have a pretty good time there with the Classic. But now it's down to, well, we usually end up talking about the beginning of every one of these games. It's the rifle round, folks, in between these two. And the Sentinels tie us up here at 2-2 and start taking it to Gen.G on this offense.
Yeah, the real rifle round finally starting to show its head. They're going to find Sentinels getting a lot of intel early on, specifically towards Garage. They're going to see it's completely open for the taking, so that will allow Sick to slowly drift towards that, get into a position just outside. Doesn't look like he's going to be alone and mounting up for that play either. Dapper seems to be joining him while keeping Overwatch on B. Aggression. For the rest of the team, they're going to work their way up long. The run it back comes out from Sick. They're going to try to push themselves forward from that position. And what out of the site pretty much for free here. But as they move forward, Nature also goes down. Cannot use the cages anymore. Get that intel in the late round here. That's all going to go down. Trades continuing to go out. And it's all in the favor of Sen once again.
Planted.
Brought down to just 2 remaining players, Mikhail and Kusta. The neural net goes out as well, giving away the location of those final 2 players and killing most of any hope that would still be alive for a retake.
They're just going to take this one nice and slow, especially with Mikhail here at mid. Instead, just going to go for the exits onto the Sentinels. And honestly, pretty big brain when it comes down to it. Don't want to try and rush in there and just end up losing guns that you don't really need or that you necessarily need going into these future rounds. And ended up having a frag here, but Dapper seemingly aware, although it's simply just via brain power, nothing else, no true insight onto this. Continuing to check Cam. Is he going to swing this? This is the big question for me, as they continue to basically stare at each other through these walls. But yeah, no one's going to do anything. Was not really expecting any forward progress there from Dapper, as he had already made it out, and that's exactly what we're going to get. Sentinels with their second round.
Another 2-2 start for both of these teams. It's like the 3rd time today we've hit this scoreline here, as it seems to be a very common occurrence both in this series and the previous one as well. I believe it happened on one of those 2 maps. So taking a look at how the teams will move forward from here. Unfortunately, that round is going to break the Gen.G economy, as that was their first big investment after the bonus round. It's looking like some players still have the money coming off the save for reinvestment. That's going to be Mikhail and Kusta. The rest of the team, well, you might be able to guess, not going to have a whole lot to contribute inside of this round. So just that 500 or so credits being spent to get the upgraded pistol, not much beyond that.
Well, Kusta is going to have that operator. That's a big thing for me inside of this one. Actually ends up buying that, so could end up losing that in this round depending on how it goes. But as we'd expect, more than likely just going to be manning C along and waiting for that rotation. Have to see how this will end up breaking here, as most of Gen.G has stacked themselves up on A, prepared for a Sentinel's assault, surely coming anytime. Slowly but surely, need to get rid of these coins and try and find something out on this site. Haven't been able to find out too much insight just yet. A curveball out. Do they check the corner? They will. Ten's dashing right into one of his cloud bursts. He does it yet again. One standing right in front of him, but the initial one goes away. He'll lose his life because of it. We have Sentinels members shooting at Sentinels members. Everyone's so confused as to what's happening, but it's all going to come down to Kusta in a 1 versus 3. And Kusta, you better run for the hills, my friend. That gun is way too expensive to try and work your way out of this one.
Yeah, if anything, he could just post up here at the tunnel and try to see if he can maybe get himself 1 pick or so against a greedy member of Sentinels. But they know for sure he's got the operator now, so probably not anyone that's smart anyway going to end up peeking out towards that doorway. Instead, they're working on a bit of a flank to try and take care of that, as it's still going to be a big boon to them if they can drop this gun. No way Kusta has the money to rebuy it. I would find it very doubtful that he would have that at this point, considering how dire things are in the Gen.G camp. Either way, though, Dapper having a bit of a problem locating Kusta, so looking like he might be able to sneak out of this round after all, and I'd say that that's pretty much going to come to fruition here. There goes the spike. No one else close enough to find him, so that gun will make it in the next round.
Well, at least good news there for Gen.G, as their Sky, or at least their Jet, will be able to hold on to that for a while longer. And that also means going into this next round, they're going to have full weaponry, which is quite the big deal, trying to battle back against the Sentinels. You can see how aggressive they are with these offenses, but obviously they're well aware of the firearms that Gen.G have going into that round. They know they can be forceful, as when Gen.G are trying to fight back, it's more than likely going to be a pistol or something that isn't necessarily going to be something that takes them out in 1 shot. Gen.G try to catch them off guard with the op for C long, but doesn't work out. Instead, back onto this round now. We're going to move Kusta as well across towards A, so we'll be playing A long instead here, but once again, Sentinels going away from Kusta's position as they're looking towards C.
Sick already with a very forward position to play off of here for the rest of Sentinels. He's all the way inside of the garage window. He's not going to get aggressive with this either. I think he's just going to sit here. But paranoia from GMD as he reads into that play. Immediately counters out the position from Sick. And establishes some good presence from Gen.G in the backside of C as they get ready to fend off the push from Sentinels. Sentinels don't even seem too concerned, or don't even seem too confident, I mean to say, in their push anymore. After they lose their garage presence, they're going to fall back after going halfway up through long, trying to work their way out either into mid or just sitting back and playing for picks for a few seconds here. They don't have a whole lot of time to play, though, is the thing, so they'll need to make a decision soon with only 40 seconds left to get their spike down.
Yeah, C site a little too hot there, and also the Seekers coming out from Sean, so that'll read out the Sentinels members, but who else will? Kusto with a hell of a flick as he takes down Shazam. A reset here from Tens is Sean holding things back inside of short. It's going to be Kusta yet again for a beautiful frag, but not before Tens takes him down after he updrafts on top of the boxes. Tens trying to make it work for his team out of short, pre-firing everything he possibly can, but Sean with a beautiful read will shoot him right through the dark cover. It's all down to Dapper now instead of a 1v3, but he doesn't necessarily have the time in order to make this happen. He'll at least get a frag, a participation trophy for round 6, but it's going to be Gen.G with the round overall.
Gen.G pick things up after they find some very nice reads inside of the early round that set them up for a great advantage. Starts immediately off with the garage pick and then fends off entirely before they even commit to it. What would have been the Sentinels push up through C long. Sentinels, of course, try to call the audible, but Kusta primarily is there to stop the action, get in the way of it, and secure that third round for Gen.G to tie us up. That breaks the streak from Sentinels as well. 3 rounds into their pocket, but finally is broken. And now, with Gen.G having a bit of confidence built up, it's looking like they're going to rely on that as they go into this next round here. Recon Dart is away. Not going to ping anyone as far as I can tell, but Kusta still establishing the angle. Try to punish this early pressure from Sen down long.
We saw the difference maker that Kusta could be inside of these previous 2 rounds. Initially playing C long and nobody pushes into him. Next round, gets multiple frags on A long, and well, it's happening again in between these two, but this time it's Tens and Sean, as Sean trades out Tens. Now down into a 4v4. Kusta will still maintain his presence on A long, though, as the Sentinels have pushed up short. He'll be able to procure himself Shazam as well as the spike. That's the read that they need, as he'll be able to at least see that go down. No big momentum shift here from Gen.G, though, on defense, as they're simply going to sit on their hands and see what the Sentinel response will be.
50 seconds left here, so Sentinels, once again, going to be forced into making a choice sooner rather than later, but the longer they sit back and wait, the more opportunities they seem to give over to Gen.G to make the aggressive plays like what we just saw from Sean there. He strikes true, brings the Sentinels count total down to only 2 players alive here, between Dapper and Zoms. Zoms just going to commit to the inside of Garage, as C seems like the best option for them at this point, and I would generally agree with that. Nature will block off the backside to make it seem like they have more presence, and of course slow down the pacing of this push so that he can do that. A very clean double from him to establish the 4th round and the lead for Gen.G.
There's some fantastic defensive setups here from Gen.G. They've finally gotten Sentinel's number. These picks finally happening for them as well, and that's something that you and I were touching on Icebox, is that it was really the opening kills that they weren't able to find like they once were, and it seems like Haven has flipped the script on us here yet again, as they're continually taking it to the Sentinels. And the Sentinels still with some solid openings. I like the way that they're trying to find this intel and work the map, but it's just time and time again that Gen.G is able to shut the door on them. We'll see if they're able to do it yet again here, as well. We're going to have Kusta move along the map all over again. No longer on A long, moving over to C, wants to keep them guessing where this operator lies.
Tens has brought out the knives here, so it's going to be a light investment in the round specifically for him, but he can play off of that. Looking for a first opportunity to strike on the inside of Garage, but instead, Sean is going to send a flash out towards mid to say hello, and that will send it off at least for now. It seems to have attracted the attention of Sentinels, however, is now Sean. They have to very well go up against a 3-player push. He's going to get a step ahead of them, however, as he moves out and catches Tens. That's the knives gone to the ground. Obviously, not a huge loss in the economy game there, but still, an ultimate gone by the wayside. Tens not going to be able to assist with that aggressive entry any further. The fact that they're still down a player. Kusta trying to capitalize upon this now. They're going to end up using the Cosmic Divide, and on top of that, a Gravity Well will stop Sean from pushing directly past it to immediately punish the Planet Temp. For Dapper, though, still trying to spam in and work past past this point, but won't be able to do the damage necessary. In fact, here comes Sean right through the Cosmic Divide, and the rest of the team is not too far behind. Seekers are out to find the positions of the players in mid, get the neural theft going as well to get that information doubly so, but even so, getting on the defuse is a bit of an issue here right now for Gen.G. Mikhail tries to go for it, but no! Sens somehow hold on and pick up the round for themselves.
What an amazing round here from the Sentinels. It's all doom and gloom until they're finally able to get the spike down on B, but it seems like Gen.G has what it takes for the retake. The biggest piece of the puzzle there for me, Sean, flying right out into mid, those Seekers in tow, trying to get any frag he possibly can, but they can't get the initial kills. That's the biggest thing. We see Shazam step up to the plate. He shuts down the push from Garage, and then immediately switches over towards mid and starts taking out the rest of the Gen.G roster. Fantastic round for them, and amazing mid-round adjustments to be able to procure that one. And big shifts once again here as they're looking towards C Long. It's going to be an ult for Sick now. He'll get rid of the camera. He gets blinded though, but not that big of a deal as Tens dashes forward on the plat. They're going to take out 3 members of Gen.G here at the very beginning of the round, and it seems like the Sentinels do not want to slow down anytime soon.
That's a definitive execute coming out there from Set after the round they won in the previous play. Now looking to really try and lock things down here. They might as well already have it for themselves. There's no way Gen.G is going for a retake at this point. Cal and Kusta way over on the other side of the map, holding on to A. And before they could even start their rotate, pretty much all 3 of the C players were dead. So it's a non-starter for them on the retake. They're going to sit back and serve the guns once again and play out this save.
Oh, Sick. He's got a curveball, so more than likely an easy frag for him. He'll at least get that one. Kusta's got to play safe now as he's been forced even deeper inside of Long. He's trying to find any frag that he can, and oh man, this is so worrisome. He's going to end up losing the op, and Sentinels will get their own operator from that. What a round there from the Sentinels. As you said, very convincing offensive round there from them. I love the use of the run it back on Sick, especially in tow with Tens. Dashes right to the top of the plant box and ends up just taking out all of these members. Amazing stuff across the board from Sentinels on that one.
Speaking of amazing stuff, Dapper is still topping out the charts there for the Sentinels. He's got double the kill count of literally the rest of his teammates, as everybody else on the squad right now is rocking with 5 frags total the 9 rounds we've played out. So a very even contribution coming out across the board for Sen, just with that clear front runner still being Dapper. We expect that after the last map, and it's going to start once again with him as well as Sick able to get opening kills. Dapper will be lost to Sean, but Sick immediately trades that out. And once again, within the first 10 to 20 seconds of the round, we're already down to a 4v2.
I mean, to be fair, they literally had 3 people swing mid-window, and like that's going to be pretty difficult to try and combat, especially when like the most people you see swing that window, usually 2, and that's exactly why it's going to catch Gen.G off guard, and they're going to just get full-on eviscerated inside of round 10. Sentinels look like they're playing against a preschool inside of these last 3 rounds. I mean, it's very harsh, yes, but Gen.G just not able to get anything done inside of these last 3. It's really scary going forward, but obviously, economy coming into that as well, expecting for them to try and bounce back inside of this rifle.
Painful to call things like this out, but you got to call it out when it's that much of an outlier. Kyle really struggling inside of this game right now with an average combat score of 14.
Oh, man. Dude, that's like half the people's age that are watching this right now, you know what I mean?
Okay.
I'm just kidding. I'm 14 as well. We're all 14 on the internet, John. That's how it works. I'm just kidding. Anyways, besides that point, low ACS, but hoping that he bounces back inside of this round. And, well, Tens and the rest of the Sens, speaking of laughing matters, definitely not them. As well, it's been 10 rounds that we've seen so far, and they've been able to get 6 of them, although the last 3 have been way more convincing than the others, and it looks like they're doing more of the same here as well. Pushing forward inside of short, we'll be able to get the cameras out, and once again, we're going to have very similar execute properties here for Sentinels. It's 6 with the run it back. We're going to have a dash forward from the Jet as well, and still a perfectly safe and fully healthy Sentinels roster to put a spike down.
I mean, these have been like crystal clean executes from Sentinels for the last 3 rounds now here. Just waltzing up right to the site, winning pretty much every single engagement and almost every single time, bringing it down to a 5v2 or a 4v2.
Yes, indeed, my friend. And speaking of what's been happening to Gen.G, we're seeing more of the same. And for our friend Mikhail, Still going to be keeping that average combat score as well, although probably younger at this point, sadly. So have to see if he's able to bounce back later on. But you have to feel for Gen.G right now, as they cannot find a single answer to anything that the Sentinels are doing. It's just so very forceful. Gen.G can simply not rotate people fast enough to try and deal with it. They get full site control, and there's not much you can do really past that on those re-entries, especially with what is happening to this poor round. And then, okay, Tens is also going to go down as he tries to take down Sean. So some big frags here, but obviously this is going to be the last round. They'll give some money over to Gen.G economy-wise, but more than likely not going to equate to full buys. And yeah, Mikael, he's doubled in age, John. See, now we're all 28 years old.
You get 2 assists.
You can like drive, pay taxes. It's all the fun stuff that every adult ever wants to do. See, guys, you actually want to be 14.
So Mikael helping out a little bit on the inside of that round, slowly starting to improve things, but still definitely struggling overall. In that last round, once again, just another example of the Gen.G struggle that's been showing up for at least 3 or 4 of these rounds in a row now, where Sen has been able to, unfortunately, just walk right up and kill Gen.G on quite a few of the sites to bring it down to that 4v2 situation that I was talking about before. But once again, at the beginning of this one, we do see aggression on its way out for Gen.G, most notably from Sean and probably Kusta again. In fact, I think it's Mikael this time that's supporting Sean on the forward push. GMD also in from short too, so really does not want to give over A as an option whatsoever. The Sentinels on their attack.
Gen.G, last defense here. Trying to get it done. They'll at least get a read on what's happening currently inside of a lobby. Gen.G, and more specifically Sean, with a huge round, one that they've been desperately looking for. Also going to send out the Seekers, and he knows that Shazam's close. It's a dark cover now to try and get him out. We'll see if he's able to do so. Trailblazer out to try and hunt him down as well, and he'll actually get the heck out of dodge. Sean does not get any insight onto his current rotation either, so it's up to the remaining Gen.G members to try and shut this down. Nature with a beautiful shot on the Tens, but it's immediately refragged. But this is looking like a Gen.G round, finally, after so very long. And more importantly than that, it looks like Mikael might be able to get up and past this ACS that we've been talking about. Shazam now into the 1 versus 4, has an opportunity coming out of Garage, although it's quite bleak. Spike right in front of him, the cross being held from Kusta, and it's a quick burst from the Bulldog to end us on these halves.
I like the play there from Gen.G, kind of the response of answering fire with fire. They had a lot of these very aggressive executes from Sen coming into their site, like I said, for that past 3 to 4 rounds now, and that was working flawlessly for Sentinels every single time they did it. So what do we do instead? All right, let's get up in their face in both short as well as long. They're at least towards the A side, challenge it directly, and that works out well for them. What's interesting is that they were doing that earlier on in the half, though. I didn't get to pay close attention as to why that stopped, but they moved away from it for some reason, and finally jumping onto it again with a little bit of a different style, having Sean do the push instead of Kusta, probably due to economy reasons, but it worked out just as strongly as it was for Kusta earlier on in the half.
Yeah, absolutely. Luckily enough, though, Gen.G will be able to shore that up just a little bit. Only a 2-round deficit going into the half now, as they'll eventually get on to offense. And this is something we've been seeing from Gen.G inside of these pistol rounds, John. They do not like to buy actual pistols. Instead, it's mostly utility and light shields, and this is going to be no different. All classics, light shield and utility now for Gen.G, as they're focused on C, but still have a lot of different opportunities to try and rotate around, and that's exactly what they're going to do. They'll leave Kusta here to see if anyone wants to get forward inside of C main, but more than likely won't be the case.
Look at another pretty slow pistol being played out here by Gen.G. Good reasoning behind that, too. Some of these pistols have gone very bad very quickly for Gen.G on the last map, so I agree that a careful approach is probably the right way to go about this, especially considering the aggression we've tended to see from Sen on a few of these rounds, including right now, what we're getting from Sick on the flank. He's figured out that there is not going to be a whole lot happening over on this side of the map. Now, he doesn't know if they're not stacked out towards mid yet. That's the only other thing. So we can't give the outright call that it's working it towards A. That's, in fact, why we're going to see, I believe that was a dark cover sent out towards Garage, is trying to bait them into thinking that they are indeed still going for either the mid or the C side. But meanwhile, Tens is all alone on A. At least upstairs he is. But he's been able to rip 2 player heads off anyway. Nature and Kusta both gone. Tens really taken out by the shock dart. He's able to dodge out of the way, but the damage will fully take him down anyway. But Tens with 2 more as well, only to go down to GMD on the final kill, but it doesn't matter. The rest of Sen can easily overwhelm him and pick up the second half pistol.
it's not just TenZ inside of Heaven. He's got 6 bullet buddies inside of that gun, and he is delivering them to every noggin, poking out from short. Amazing round there from TenZ. And Sentinels shoot ahead yet again. Gen.G, though, definitely with a heck of a opportunity there to try and claim that one, but just could not get TenZ dislodged from this Heaven position time and time again. Almost able to get that third one there as well, but ended up getting the quad at the end of the day anyway, so what does it really matter? Fantastic stuff for them, and Gen.G back onto the pistols for this following round.
Needless to say, TenZ is the difference maker there. He goes down in Heaven, and that's full flood of the site going into the hands of Gen.G, but instead, he single-handedly stops the entire execute. Gets the 2 impact kills when his teammates group up with him, goes in for 2 more as well when he jumps out of Heaven. Beautiful stuff, and a nice trade at least from Sean here, but it does come at the cost of losing Kusta in the early round, and unfortunately, Sean already at low HP. He can't fend off the rest of that damage. Sick just tearing him apart now as he's got 3 on the round. The last one alive is GMD. He'll get taken down by Zoms. That'll be a quick 9th round on the board for Set.
Well, I can say that we all expected that one to go the way that it did. Gen.G simply just trying to push the envelope inside of the eco. Look for any frags that they possibly can, and, well, they really can't get all that much. Either way, though, down to the rifle now, and this is where it all matters. For all the marbles now, Gen.G need to win this round. They have to slow down the Sentinels at some point, and it's got to come when Sentinels are on this bonus. Look across this buy right now. You got 2 rifles on Sick and Dapper, TenZ with the Marshall still, and 2 Spectres in the likes of Shazam and Zoms. Gen.G, if there was an opportunity, it all starts here.
Let's see if that's going to be the case. TenZ going to immediately get the way that he's going to get spotted out by the drone, but peeks soon enough so that Shazam can capitalize on the damage done by TenZ. Take out that first player with a shock dart. Ultimately translates down to a 1-for-1 trade. TenZ trying to make the best effort with minimal gunpowder that he had in that situation.
Here.
Well, now for Gen.G, it's slow and steady. That trade happening there has locked them out for the time being, sadly, because Sean is most of their utility when it comes to trying to find intel. Yeah, they do still have the camera of nature, but you can run a dog around and try and find some people. Makes it a lot easier. GMD will initially get 1, but Zoms follows up with 2 of his own, and that's spike control, like you said, inside of Sewer. See what Gen.G's response is, but as of right now, low in economy and only having these 2 rifles, this kill's gonna matter a lot. Can Dapper get both? He does! And Sentinels push Gen.G right back into the hole.
3 more rounds left here, and Sentinels claim the series as well as being able to push themselves forward, putting them only 1 match away from being able to, at minimum, qualify for the next event. And, of course, be in contention for our top 4, seeing how far they can go from that point forward. Away from that, of course, looking at Gen.G potentially getting closer to not getting knocked out of our event, but definitely going down into the lower bracket. We're going to have to fight for survival for the rest of this weekend. Time to find out if Gen.G can bring things back here, or if Sentinels are going to try and snap the jaws shut of any potential comeback. It is going to be a light bot round from Gen.G, so once again, they have to use the raw amount of numbers they have to push out towards long in order to make any sort of right step forward. Unfortunately, it's not working out too well. That's a good trade from GMD, though, and now Sean, with the free presence up short, is able to get a beautiful shot against Zom to take him down as well. Seekers are going to work their way out. They do get the intel that at least 1 player is going to be hiding out through the defender spawn tunnel. Didn't get great intel as to Sick already being in Heaven, but they can probably safely assume that someone is here. I'll just have to confirm that information, get everybody in position, counter out the retake. GMD actually just taking the fight outright from Heaven there. Neural Theft going to come in here from Dapper also. Gets the position of Sean, is going to assume the other opponent is below him, and that's the right choice. But now, how does Dapper go back out? How does he jump out this window? There's no easy way to do it. He's going to get cloud bursted as well here. Keep in mind, time is ticking as all this goes away. I think he's made the decision to back away from this one now. He is working his way over towards the tunnel, but the problem is time is getting far too low for him to get both of these kills and commit to the retake, so he's just going to pick up the exits here. Clean kill on Kusta. Doesn't want to take the chance on going for Sean. Time to back away. This round goes to Gen.G.
Well, again, there was a time to do it. It was now, and they'll be able to get it done. It's a thrifty for Gen.G, and one that was desperately needed. Finally looking across the board once again. Oh, Mikael, I am so sorry, my friend. 1 and 12 currently with 6 assists. The ACS has gone up, luckily enough. He's been finding some impact inside of utility department, really, starting to add up those assists, but we want to see him wake up inside of those frags. It's a big part of what's happening to Gen.G right now. There's a big thing that happens inside of FPSs like this, where it really does sometimes boil down to just simply winning your ones.
We'll see, though. Sean is winning a whole lot of those ones right now and is being a big difference maker for Gen.G aside a couple of the other members of this roster, too. We're going to see Sick try to burst his way out into the open 10s right behind him. It doesn't work for 3 quick kills. One of them's the run it back, of course, as they work their way forward. Shazam is also able to go 1 for 1, but these trades do not favor Sen anymore at this point in the round here. They're down into the 4v2, the very same situation that Gen.G was dealing with in the last half for so many rounds in a row, and now finally, Gen.G gets some revenge here. He's going to put that pressure right back onto Sentinels. Dapper, with the first good refrag, though, against Sean, will open up the potential for these guys to start pushing back out.
Well, for the Sentinels, onto the retake now. Plenty of utility down here for Gen.G as GMD pushes himself forward with the Shrouded Step. An opportunity here to continue to hold this down. Astra utility in tow as well as Kusta's got the cross. This is not looking too hot for Dapper as well as Zoms as he's the last remaining member for the Sentinels, and he's simply just going to hold the exit. Can't do much more, and definitely a round going in favor of Gen.G. Fantastic offense for them as they clear out all of sewer. 3 separate, technically, bodies going down in that, but 2 of them being Phoenixes.
Starting to look a lot like Icebox right now with the way that Gen.G is crawling back from the depths of the point share here. Obviously, this time they've got a lot more room to lose rounds inside of this comeback situation as well compared to Icebox, where they were immediately staring down 12 rounds from Sen. This time it's only 10. They still have those 3 rounds to play off of here. They're already incredibly close to Sentinel's own scoreline. There's a 3-round deficit between these 2 teams now. Let's see who comes out on top of the next one.
Okay, well, they finally cut all the way through the Sentinels' economy. This is the last round that they are able to fully buy here, unless they're going to go on an economy in the future. So, Gen.G, this is now or never. If they're able to try and get these next 3 rounds, this would be the time to do it. And looking across the board, it seems like they're going to take their sweet time doing so. As of right now, mostly focused over towards A lobby as they're working their way in towards A main. Seekers out, 2 of them going to go behind, 1 dashing forward as well. It's Dapper alone on A, currently inside of Heaven. And it's an aggressive forward assault here from Gen.G as they're already primed to set this spike down.
Yeah, there's no reason why Gen.G should have held off the gas right there when you consider that only one of the Seekers actually worked its way into the site, so they knew this was going to be a light defense as they worked their way in, and they were correct to assume so. The rotates are here from Sen, but once again, this is going to be tough to get back out onto the site here now. However, despite that fact, they've gotten 3 untraded kills here. Kusta finally responding with 1, but it seems like it's far too much pressure, far too quickly from Sen, and they retake it with no problems whatsoever.
Insane retake there from Sentinels, and most notably TenZ. I know we all talk about this man so very much, but the chaos that he just created inside of that post plant is something that has got to be notated. Immediately dashes towards the mid-site box, sits on top of that inside of his own cloudburst, and just simply dives and dodges out of them, continually taking down Gen.G members left and right. They're eventually able to procure him, but now before the damage was already dealt and the rest of the Sentinels roster could move in. And as we saw, Dapper with a triple inside of that one as well. Sentinels with some fantastic stuff in round 18, but now on to round 19. Getting an early read on A main here yet again, or A lobby, excuse me, because they will be dedicating most of Shazam's utility to this area. He's going to Owl Drone out as well, trying to avoid that blind from the guiding light. Going to at least get some insight onto where the current position is of Gen.G, and yes, especially onto Nature.
Only spotting out Nature, though, so a lot of incorrect assumptions can be made if they're going to take the safe call and say that, yep, that's the only one we've seen. But given that there's already a history of A executes, I'm going to guess that Sentinels will be a little bit smarter than that. And I believe that they have been. TenZ on top of this jump-up box here, where it's giving a drone going to end up getting destroyed here. So I don't think TenZ has been revealed, but no, never mind. He gets checked out by Sean as he picks up the important entries once again. Kusta gets the actual kill in the meanwhile, but it's another clean entry, and this time they got kills for it as well. In the last round, Sentinels held back, kept the full breadth of their team alive, and waited to play for the post plant. They don't have that luxury this time. They're already 3v5 here, and once again, I'm not even sure if they're going to attempt it, as this A site is such a tough retake.
Yeah, again, we were talking about previously, their economy is shot, so they actually have to save here, because if they lose these guns, it's going to be a full save for them. And obviously, that's more than likely going to be yet another Gen.G round, so that would make it effectively 11-9 at that point. Either way, though, amazing round here from Gen.G. Sentinels simply getting caught off due to timing on those different peaks, as well as utilities flying in. Most notably, obviously, being well, TenZ standing on top of the boost box there for short yet again, and not able to get any of those frags. They work right under him inside of the nebula smoke there, and he's not able to get much done past that. The guiding light flies in, fully blinds the site, and Gen.G simply waltz on and pick up the frags.
It's unfortunate, too, because he had the right read on the situation, in my opinion. He went and made a call probably that he didn't get spotted by the L drone, and that was probably the correct call. But the issue is, yeah, someone else, Kusta, is able to spot him out because he waits just that little bit too long of an amount of time there and ultimately has himself given away. So Gen.G, though, what's important here is the quick response from them to very quickly bounce back into a controlling situation. Keep in mind, they're still working from a 5-10 deficit to try and come back yet again here. We've already seen one impressive comeback today. This would be another one from Gen.G here, but they've got to be careful now. With 11 rounds on the board for Sentinels, they give up too much, and the game's going to be over before they can even get there.
Well, expecting this to come down to those high utility executes yet again, probably headed off by Sean, trying to find some insight as to what's going on one of these sites. It's been mostly A that we've been seeing from them in recent history, which means that we're probably going to see something else. And you can see Sentinels very aware of this as well, as they're still spread throughout the entirety of Haven at different points. Still have our stacks on C, as well as Garage being handled currently. So worried about every single facet of this area, and Sick going to get a fantastic read onto this. He sees the cloud smoke up top, but does he know that Jet is more than likely inside of this? He'll work forward instead. It's Kusta with the first kill, but Sick with the refrag. Curveball's out, but now it's TenZ as well to hop inside. Sick and Shazam and all of the Sentinels mostly hopping right into C. Gen.G thought they had found a hole, but it was definitely not the case. Sentinels finally find 12.
By far the best fend-off we've seen yet from Sentinels. An incredibly quick response. The rotates are incredibly smooth. Sick has to let one of his teammates go down there as he holds inside of that cloudburst, but thankfully he's able to play out the situation correctly, gets the trade, prevents that Jet from finding massive impact against the rest of his teammates that were rotating in from the defender route, and obviously opens up the floodgates for the rest of them to completely overwhelm Gen.G's post plant there. So now Sen gonna pop on map and match point now. One more round is all they need to secure this series.
Going to be led off yet again in the same fashion. We're going to see the recon out from Shazam, trying to get a read on A lobby, and well, we're going to have the Gen.G stack here yet again as well, and they're probably quite worried about what's going on around these boxes. Trying to fly in now is Kusta, but he's going to get caught in his updraft mid-coin, so ends up being caught off guard, and now Dapper trying to find some kills via the info he's getting, but none of it able to be secured from that heaven position. It's going to be the plant for Gen.G and a full-on 5v5 assault here going into the post plant.
Sick, ready to move back in quickly. Got the run it back available here too if they want to try and use that for a free re-entry piece of utility here, but the one-way cloudburst is going to be rough as Sen tries to go forward. It's actually 10 to take the first step, and as a result of that, he's going to go down 6. Run it back is going to get taken out, and well as Dapper just a few seconds later from that, so Sen trying to make some bit of an effort here, but once again, when it comes to that A site, if they give over to the control to Gen.G and are not able to at least kill some of them here, it just seems like it's a complete miss on the retake before it even begins, and this is going to be another example of that, as Sen are now falling back and calling for the save here, and Gen.G are going to get their 9th round on the board. 3 more for them, and they take it to OT.
You almost have to feel bad for Gen.G, as it seems like they're just stuck to the A site. No matter what they do across the map in other areas, they're just not able to get a spike down and a round win. So see if they're going to continue this as well. They still need 3 rounds, and I highly doubt the Sentinels will let them do so continually on the A side. It is going to be very similar setups, though, as I'm assuming Shazam is going to stick around A long. It's up to Gen.G to switch this out, because I believe the Sentinels have their answer.
Well, time to see if indeed that answer will be the correct one here for Sentinels. Still just need that one round in order to close things down. Tens as well going with the light buy here so that he can just utilize the knives when he gets close to one of his opponents. The rest of the team fully buying into this one. Tens wasting no time bringing out the knives as well. A quick first pick from him as he takes down Sean. That's an incredibly important player, especially when it comes to the importance of the entry game here for Gen.G. Sean, no more guiding lights and no more just Sean in general, who's been a very prominent player in this matchup. You still are going to have other things to play for. The Cosmic Divide being the most obvious one that now works its way out onto the C site. There's immediately players in position. Sick, though, splitting up this attack, and this is going to be problematic here for Gen.G. It comes down to just Shazam as well as Zoms to play out the rest of this round for Sentinels, and they're holding Nature. Now the last hope here for Gen.G. He's going to move forward, but falls to Shazam, and that'll be the end of it as Sentinels take the map and the series 2-1. We'll be right back for the post-map.